Effective plan for the 60-day preparation demands that this shouldn't be general now. This shouldn't be random now. This shouldn't be scattered now. This must be strategic and focused. Hello Civil Services aspirants, writing Civil Services Preliminary Examination 2021. This lecture is on a 60-day plan for the preparation of this exam. Preliminary exam 2021 is approaching near, and about 60 days are left. This period of 60 days is highly decisive. And if it is not used very wisely, even a long-term good preparation might collapse. There may be many aspirants writing exam this year and are confronted with a preparation crisis situation. This may be because of many reasons, but the core is they feel that they have not worked up to the expectation. And now the time is short and good number of things are there to be covered. They need some effective strategy, some smart tips. And I would be saying they still stand a chance. And there may be many aspirants who have prepared well, but they also need some specific ideas and tips in order to use this 60-day period in a wise manner. This lecture caters to the needs of both the categories. In fact, this is a high time when there is a need of a focused and strategic approach. There is a need to come out of the impulsive, scattered and random readings and preparation. And the basic objective of this lecture is to help you work in such a way so that you would be in a position to correct about 50 to 60 questions in the preliminary exam this year, thereby fetching about 100 to 120 marks and standing safe. And just remember that even one question matters. One question correct, you are in. One question incorrect, you are out. This lecture, which is essentially a 60-day plan, consists of 4 dimensions. Or in other words, this 60-day plan, what I am going to present before you, consists of 4 dimensions. Take a look. Dimension 1 is selection of topics of 6 sections to be focused. Dimension 2 is Efficacious work on economic survey and India Yearbook. Dimension 3 is meaningful work on the current affairs. And Dimension 4 is planning for study and revision. And I will be throwing light on each dimension one by one. And when the discussion on all these 4 dimensions is over, you will be awakened to certain strategic approaches and ideas as regards working during this period of 60 days. First dimension is selection of topics of 6 sections to be focused. These 6 sections are the 6 sections that constitute the core of your preparation. They are Indian history and culture, geography, environment, economics and economy, Indian polity, and science and technology. All of you must be working on these 6 sections. But now the time has come when you have to be focused rather than being scattered and random. This focus is all about selecting specific topics related to these 6 sections and working on them properly. I'm not saying that you are not supposed to work on the rest of the topics, but these topics have to become focused area now. Since this selection is difficult for you, so I have done it for all the 6 sections, and I have 6 presentations on them for you. I'm going to show them. But the basic idea here is that in every section, you have many topics. Say, in Indian polity, there are 20 topics to be done. Among these 20, I would be saying all are relevant. But for this year, some are more relevant than the other. So among 20, say topic number 1, topic number 4, topic number 6, topic 17, topic 19, topic 20 are more relevant for this year. So these topics to be done properly and the rest to be done if you have time. Maybe you feel that at the end you find you don't have time. Still, it may serve the purpose because a substantial number of questions would be occurring from these. And this is applicable to all the 6 sections. So take a look. First section is economics and economy. Economics and economy is referred to as economy or Indian economy. I mean, different names are used by the aspirants. But technically, there should be economics and economy. And that is the reason I have used this word here. So under this, number 1, important concepts. Number 2, international and national bodies. And number 3, all existing programs. These 3 represent the focused areas or the areas to be focused. These 3 need some explanation. The first important concepts you find in this section that in every topic there are several relevant concepts such as patent, geographical indications, foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, inflation, deflation, economic depression, recession, double dip recession, and so on. This list goes on and on. There should be a focus on this because out of this, a few questions will be there. So in every topic, you should focus on all the relevant concepts. The second one is international and national bodies. These bodies are connected to economic functioning. In international context, bodies such as World Trade Organization, International Monetary Fund, World Bank. In national context, NITI, CSO. So, these international bodies and national bodies associated with the economic function represent one area to be focused. So, this to be done properly, a few questions we should always expect. And the third one is all existing programs. These programs are socio-economic programs or the socio-economic developmental programs, and there are many. But your focus should be existing one. Maybe many a time you come across some programs which were there earlier, but they don't exist today. They are not needed. And that's why I have mentioned the term existing. All programs are important, and a few questions are to be there. Under the programs, everything is not required. Here, just focus on two things. One, the ministry or the department, and second is features. So one is the program falls under which ministry or which department, and second is the basic features. Just work on these two things. This will help you answer any question related to program in the preliminary exam. Don't work on their assessment, evaluation, criticism. These are not required for the preliminary examination. This is what you need later, once your preliminary exam is over and you start working for the main examination. So this is all about one section, that is economics and economy. Next is Indian polity, and here there are 6 points representing the areas to be focused. They don't need any explanation. Straight away you can get them and you can pursue them. Next is geography. Here 4 points are there representing areas to be focused. They also don't need any explanation. Straight away you can get them and you can work on them. Next is Indian history and culture. There are 6 points here representing areas to be focused. Point number 1 to point number 5 do not need any explanation. You understand? You just work on them. Point number 6, that is all terms such as nirvana, tribhanga, jagirdar, advaitya, ikta, home charges, separate electorates, etc. This is in fact related to several terms what you come across while studying ancient, medieval and modern history. And here there are some examples of these terms such as nirvana, tribhanga, jagirdar, advaitya, ikta, home charges, separate electorates. We have more such terms like mansabdar, mirasidar, balutedar, rita, dharma. This list goes on and on. All these terms are relevant, and every year you have a few questions related to this. So this is all about point number 6. Next section is environment. And here there are 5 points representing the areas to be focused. And they also don't need any explanation. A straight way, they must be intelligible to you. Need is to focus on them. Next is science and technology. Here you find 2 points are there representing the areas to be focused. First point needs a little bit of explanation. Say here, only technological and applied aspects of 1. Space, 2. ICT, that is information and communication technology, 3. Biotech, 4. Renewable and new energy, 5. Nuclear energy, 6. Health, nutrition and medical science. So this expression, only technological and applied aspect, is important to understand. Here you are not required to work on the theory and the principle part. Science is full of theories and principles. But in the preliminary examination, almost all the questions are related to applied and technological aspects. And theories and principles do not occur in the questions. So avoid them. Just focus on the technological and applied aspect. And of what topics? These topics are mentioned. Number 1 is space. 2, number 6, health, nutrition and medical science. So this is all about the 6 sections and the areas associated with these sections to be focused. Now the point here is that in these 6 sections, the areas to be focused, what I have shown, are the areas to be focused by you, but it does not mean you don't do the rest of the things. For example, take the example of Indian polity, your favorite section also. And that's why I'm presenting example of this. Here you find there are 6 points representing areas to be focused. These are important provisions under fundamental rights in DPSP, parliamentary committees, bills, budget, motions and resolutions in Parliament, Supreme Court, High Court, District Court, Lok Adalat, Gram Nyalay, Family Court, Fast Track Court, Green Benches and Tribunals. 4. CAG, Election Commission, UPSC, Finance Commission, NITI, you also call it NITI Aayog, Cabinet Secretariat. 5. Special classes like SCs, STs, minorities. And 6. Panchayati Raj and municipal bodies. What do you think? These 6 will be constituting what portion of the total Indian polity? I think this would be less than 50%. So my point is that during this period of 60 days, you focus on these and do them properly. But apart from these 6, the rest, that is about 50% or slightly more than the 50%, not to be neglected if you have time. But in case you feel by the time you finish, time is over. So you be satisfied with doing this because this ensures certain questions in the exam. They will be there. So the strategy here is that you divide the entire Indian polity into 2 broad parts. And this is applicable to all the 6 sections. Rather, all the rest 5. The first broad part is these areas to be focused. And the second broad part is the rest. Do this part properly and do the rest also if you have time to do. So this strategy is essentially going about the issues and the themes and the topics in this manner or proceeding in this manner. Now, I'm shifting to the second dimension. And the second dimension is Efficacious work on economic survey and India Yearbook. Every year, we must expect some questions from economic survey and India Yearbook. So this dimension is related to the meaningful working or the efficacious working or the effective working on economic survey and India Yearbook. I have a presentation for you. Take a look. Economic survey 2020-21. This is the survey published this year. At India 2021, released this year. Both are large, bulky, thick, and the economic survey this year has 2 volumes. It is not possible to work on everything in these 2, and it is not required as well. So, efficacious preparation of these 2 is a kind of awakening to the idea that what to be done, what not to be done. First, Economic Survey 2020-21. I have seen civil services aspirants working on economic survey vigorously and doing so many things that are not relevant. But they are doing because they are not well aware. Here in economic survey, you will find a huge number of data. It's full of statistics. They are not required. I've seen some aspirants even working on some statistics and data also. For the preliminary examination, so many views, so many analysis, what you find in the economic survey are not relevant. So in fact, what is relevant for the preliminary examination here is, number 1, policies and programs. You just flip through the pages, passing through all the chapters there. If you find any specific policy launched recently, or if any specific program in existence, these 2 are to be done. Second is broad trends of economy. Broad trends do not mean working on the data and statistics. Broad trends refer to the certain basic trends of economy of this recent times. This basic trend is related to the trend of growth and development, the trend of agriculture sector, the trend of industry sector, the trend of exports and imports, but no data, no statistics. These trends will also give you the idea of the status of India today in economic context. And the best way to explain what is required under broad trends of economy is that if all the broad trends that are relevant for the preliminary examination to be picked up from economic survey out of the 2 volumes, they would be accommodated in 2 or 3 A4 size pages. That's it. If you're doing more than this, you are moving towards things irrelevant. So accordingly, you work. And third is concepts. In economic survey, you will get certain concept here and there in a scattered way. For example, zombie lending. For example, zombie banking. For example, regulatory forbearance. So these kind of concepts are relevant for the preliminary examination. So it's simple, working on just 1, 2, 3, nothing else. So this way you will find that the whole economic survey, what is really relevant for the preliminary examination, would be summarized into around 20-30 pages. If you are moving beyond 30 pages, around 30 pages, this means you are heading towards working on certain things which won't be relevant for the exam. And that's why the working on economic survey becomes quite exhaustive. Because so many pages are there, absolute 2 volumes are there, and so many pages are there. You keep on working on them, so it might take even the whole year. And that is never required. Now coming to India 2021. Even in the case you don't have India 2021, you have India 2020, that is also fine. Because here only 2 things are required. One is states and UTs. This is a chapter you will find there. This chapter is towards the end of the book. And here in this chapter, you will find a variety of information related to states and UTs. I should give you the idea. What information is needed? Not every information. Information related to cultural aspects is needed, like some specific fairs, festivals, a specific dance form, drama form. Second, information related to environment related issues is needed, like some specific flora, specific fauna, some endangered animals, critically endangered animals, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. So mainly these 2 categories of information required. And if you work on states and UTs properly, just focusing on these 2 information, make sure you will have some questions. And second is socio-economic programs. See, one important information for you, that all existing socio-economic programs are important for the preliminary examination. Make sure you will have certain questions. So we must work on all the existing program properly, focusing on just 2 things, what I have said. The program falls under what department and or what ministry, and the basic features of the program. But all. Some programs may be the programs recently launched. Some programs may be the programs launched last year or year before. Some even earlier, but they are continuing. They're existing. So the point here is that what should be the best source for all these socioeconomic programs? I think these two are the two brilliant sources. One, economic survey, and second, India 2021. So as I have said, with respect to economic survey, flip through the pages, and wherever you find some specific policies and program, mark them. Similarly, here also, flip through the pages in every chapter. I think almost in every chapter you find 1, 2, 3, 4 programs are there. Keep on marking them. Or if you have any ready-made material with you which contains all the existing programs and two related pieces of information are there. One, they fall under what ministry or what department, and two, the basic features. So it's okay also. So under India 2021, just focus on these two things. So both economic survey and India are bulky, heavy, large and thick. And working on the entire is in fact a suicidal move and not required. Plus, you don't have time now. This plan is the plan for 60 days. Now, shifting to the next dimension, dimension number 3, meaningful work on current affairs. Current affairs, an important part of the preparation. I think everyone works on this. But here also, Efficacious approach is required. The approach which could bear fruit, which could be fruitful and meaningful. With respect to current affairs, just two things are required now. First is that instead of working on the current issues spanning over 1 to 3 years, you should be confining yourself to the period of about a few months. And second, instead of doing everything, you should be confined to doing only those things that are relevant. See, with respect to current affairs, I have seen the civil services aspirants work on so many things, so many sources they use. They read newspapers, they work on magazines, they follow certain ready-made materials as well. And they span their preparation over years. Many think that they should span over the period of 2 years, many think they should span over the period of 3 years. But now, since only 60 days are left, and I also hope most of you must have worked on this also. So the wisdom is that you should focus on that span of time from where most of the question occur. That span is so I'm explaining first thing with respect to current affairs. So that span is January 2021 to mid-September 2021. Assume a situation that you have 10 questions related to current affairs. Out of 10, around 6 would be there from this span. And one logic is always applicable. You shouldn't work for correcting all the 100 questions. It will never happen. So even if you're working on 6 and finally if you make correct 5, it is good performance. Again, my logic is that this is the span of time to be focused upon. I'm not saying that don't move before this. If you're comfortable, you can go beyond January 2021 also. Moving back to December, September, August, June. But first, focus on this. Do this properly. And just doing this properly, maybe you are safe. And second thing here important is that do only the issues that are in consonance with a standard of the exam. What does it mean? This means now in this 60 days, you cannot work on every issue. If you go through various sources of current affairs, you will find that a variety of issues are there. Many may be relevant for banking exams. Many may be relevant for SSC. Many may be relevant for state exams. That is okay. But you are writing civil services preliminary exam. Not banking, not CDS, not probationary officer, not state services. Here the standard is entirely different. And this is higher. Best way to have the feel of this standard is just spare half an hour. It will not take more than half an hour, but it will save several hours. Go through the question papers, the past question papers of the preliminary examination, 2020 and 2019. That's all. Just 2 years. You will have a feel that what kind of a standard is there of the current affairs issues. What types of questions are there? Then you will realize that there are many issues you are working on are not relevant for the exam. This is okay that till now you have worked in general, but the plan or the effective plan for the 60-day preparation demands that this shouldn't be general now. This shouldn't be random now. This shouldn't be scattered now. This must be strategic and focused. So the focus is that work on only those issues that are in tune with the standard of the exam. And for this, spare half an hour. Take a look at the questions related to current affairs of the preliminary examination 2020 and 2019, and you will get a broad idea how to work. You will be in a position to eliminate so many things. And finally, you find that the issues what remain after eliminating so many issues are the issues in fact relevant for your exam. So, with respect to current affairs, just follow 2 things. 1, a specific span is to be focused, and 2, a specific issues to be focused. I'm not recommending any source. Source is your choice, but whatever the source, you should know what to be done and what not to be done. Now I move on to the last dimension. And last dimension is planning for a study and revision. Planning for a study and revision is the last Why? Because after getting awakened to all these ideas, what I've presented before you for your consideration, you must know what is the effective time management. Now, in 60 days, how to manage all these things? You cannot manage if you're working in a random way. You will have to plan this. This plan may vary from one aspirant to another. But I have also a plan for you. Maybe this works, or you can modify this, or you can adapt in order to suit your requirement. The plan is that the whole day has to be divided into 3 parts, considering the things that are to be done and that are to be focused upon. So part 1, part 2, and part 3. So division of the day into 3 parts. The first part is for the topics of 6 sections. These 6 sections are the 6 sections I've just now discussed. And here the topics are, first, the topics I have selected for you, and then the other topics, what you think are important, or the topics you have already done. Second part is for economic survey, India, and current affairs. Because the nature or the character of these 3 are slightly similar. And the third part is for revision and test if test needed. It is your choice and it will also vary. So the whole day to be divided into 3 parts. Now it also depends on how many hours you study. And this also varies from aspirant to aspirant. So subject to your capability and your choice, you can determine the number of hours with respect to each part. So what should be the duration of each part is your choice, and this will vary. But if you work in a mixed manner, this means all the 6 sections, then economic survey, then India, then revision, all, if it is all mixed, it will create a lot of confusion at the end. So my point is, since there is a multiplicity of things to be covered, and the nature and the character of these things are also not similar, so mixing or blending them is not a wise approach. So the wise approach is separate them and allot a fixed time for them and follow this rigorously. Maybe 4 or 5 hours for part 1, maybe 3 hours for part 2, maybe 3 hours for part 3, this way, and follow this every day. So this is just a rational, you can say, a plan, a logical plan, what I think should work, but choice is yours. You can modify it or you can use this as per your choice. So this is all about the dimension number 4. So I have completed the discussion of all these 4 dimensions. I hope this would be giving you a broad idea to pursue a strategic and focused preparation in this period of 60 days. Now, one more thing very important for you, that All these plans and the strategies, what I've discussed, would be fruitful and meaningful only when you make earnest and energetic efforts. This calls for a diligent working with utmost commitment and devotion. Point is very simple. You will have to slog, you will have to work hard. For 60 days, nothing excepting focusing on the preparation of the preliminary examination. And you know it is said that if you work harder, you will have more luck with you. This simply means the harder you work, the more luck you will have. So, work diligently and be a sedulous civil services aspirant for 60 days. Be an assiduous civil services aspirant for 60 days and see the result. And finally, at the end, I would be saying be optimistic, be hopeful, be positive, and be confident. Always think you can do and you will do.